Welcome back to Caffeine Confessionals. We're here to talk about the Challenge Season 40 cast. This is our male cast draft. If you didn't watch our female cast draft, I recommend you go back and listen to it. Hopefully, it'll pop up in a link on the side here or on the side window. Hopefully, I'm better at tech than I think I am. My name is Allan. I'm joined by my southern co-host Luke Muncie, Vermontian co-host Zoe Trimboli,
Hi, everyone.
and our favorite recurring guest, our only ever recurring guest, Miss Allie Evans.
Hi.
So again, we're doing a draft preview of the season 40 cast. We're very excited for season 40. Essentially, we're doing a fantasy draft where we're drafting players based on competition, drama, confessional looks, fan engagement, and we're penalizing them if they're boring, if they're breaking up fights, if they're not bringing anything to the show. We did our female draft. We explained it more over there. We're going to talk about the men right now. And if you're at home and want to be involved in the draft in some way, draft your list of 5 men. It has to be one player at least from each era, which is what we're going to do right now. And yeah, I will keep track of it on a spreadsheet online all season if you comment your team down here below. And hey, I'll even give out a prize for the winner. We'll say if you're in, I'll give out the prize. If you're in the United States, you get a $50 Amazon gift card. Sure.
Oh, wow.
Why not? Yeah, we'll do that. If you're in a different country, we will find out what is a approximate gift towards your country because not everywhere is the same. But yeah, if you're in the US especially, so yeah, you can cheat if you want like user spoilers. So like, don't comment spoilers on this video. But yeah, draft your team. We're getting into it right now. Sorry guys, all this explanation. Someone else talk for a minute.
So the last go round, we had the order being Zoe, Allan, myself, and Allie. It's going to be flipped for the men this go around. Essentially, how this will work is we will pick someone, very briefly discuss our thoughts on them, just as this is kind of working too as a very quick player preview and just a place for us to kind of talk shit. So yeah, because Allie went 4th last time, she gets the luxury of going first this time. And I'm going to keep stalling because she is eating her chips because we have been going at this for a little bit. We're filming these back to back. But yeah, I think that this is going to be a lot different than the women's side because there were some duds there. And I only see like a couple duds on the men's side. I already know who the last pick's going to be. But with all that said, Allie is going to kick us off with who she thinks has the best shot of fitting all these categories.
Oh, geez. Thank you for stalling. I was still smacking on a Dorito with the phone on mute. Okay, so for the women's side, I picked last, forgetting that meant I would get 2 picks in a row. So when it came to my turn, my 2 top people were there. So I didn't have to think. Now everyone's there, and I have to use my brain to figure out what I want to do. So my first 2 picks, like that I ranked, are up there for very different reasons. And I have I'm just gonna go with my heart. I'm gonna clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose this, and I am going to take Tony.
Wow.
I know. It's the same reason I draft a kicker first in fantasy football. It makes 0 sense, but I like the vibe that it brings. Tony, people are going to roll their eyes because I'm name dropping. Tony and I are friends, and I want to be able to text him and tell him that I picked him first in this draft for the men. I think he's got a good group in his era. I've always said about Tony, like his best chances of winning are a team game. Where he can like get along with his team, but also use his relationships that he's built throughout the years. So Tony's my first pick. Sorry if you hate it.
I'm just shocked, but I get it. I think he has real potential where like any beef he had in the past has kind of fizzled out. His very brief run on All-Stars 4 is nothing that caused contention with anybody. And if anything, people might be like, he didn't get a real return. So like, let's try to make this work. Interesting.
Yeah, you don't have to justify it. When I go to a fantasy football draft and I pick Justin Tucker from the Ravens, like first pick, because I just don't care. I'm here for the vibes. I'm here because I like the three of you, and I'm eating my little Doritos and drinking my lemonade. So I don't give a shit. I'm gonna pick the people I like for my team.
Hell yeah. On the contrary, I'm just gonna jump into mine.
Yeah.
I do not associate this person's vibes at all. I just think that this person has the clearest shot of winning this season. As much as I hate to say it, Zoe, Allan, and I filmed like a cast speculation video forever ago about this season, and this person wasn't technically on the cast yet. We didn't know. And any draft I did before the season aired, I was like, I'll even take the guess. If it's not this person, I'll take the L. I have to go with someone from the same era, and that's Jordan. He's going to be involved in drama. He is going to perform in a stellar way. Just as we've seen Rachel tweet about production, we've seen Jordan negatively speak about production, so something had to have gone down. Saying this now makes me think I run the risk of him being edited out of some things. But
I don't think so. You know they don't do that to their male talent, Luke.
This is true.
I really was hoping, based on pure hatred alone, that he was going to fall to 4. So yeah. I completely understand that pick. And I hate you for it.
So sorry. I'm actually so sorry that that's my pick. But
no, I look, I think Jordan's the greatest player in challenge history. I think he's a lightning rod. World Championships. He was the main storyline of that. He was the main storyline of Ride or Dies. He comes in as a mercenary on like the most recent season, and he's talking shit. He's putting on a show in mid elimination. Jordan's a showman. Like no matter what you think, he's going to be involved, and he'll have a dumb confessional probably at some point too.
That's true.
Yeah, he's like he brings the Zach Nichols vibes to the party without you having to look at Zach Nichols. You know.
Yes, I get it.
And there's a lot, there's some rivalries there between him and some other people. There's always some beef. It's my pick next?
Yes.
It is.
Now you have to pick someone that you only medium like, because I picked someone that I really like. Luke picked someone that he doesn't like at all. So you have to be like, I feel extremely average about this person.
I would say I built a pretty early brand on disliking this guy. And now I'm just a little bit more apathetic. But I'm forced based on who is there to pick this person. I'm taking Johnny Bananas.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for some people, he's the greatest player in challenge history. I mean, the guy's done 20 plus seasons. He's the face of the franchise. He's going to get a bunch of confessionals regardless. I hated him on Ride or Dies. He talked all this shit before that season about how he needs to make the challenge exciting again. And then he was basically Kenny Clark wallpaper all season. All he did was play his guitar, and then he was a crying baby on USA 2 for a bit too there. Like and yet I'm picking him here because I think this is season 40, and I think Jordan and CT have really stepped in on like the ground floor, being like they're viewed as the go to the challenge, whereas like 5-6 years ago it was like pretty definitively Bananas, and now it's not anymore. If he wins season 40, it's back to being him, makes that big statement, and I think he's going to be pulling all the strings. I think he's going to be kissing ass with so many people, having so many pregame alliances. He's going to pull out all his tricks because this is his last chance to really like put the stamp on his career right now.
Yeah, I agree. With CT, even Darrell, Jordan there, like he's got a lot to prove. And I think since we have to have someone from each era, that's a no-brainer to go ahead and snag him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's talk about a steep drop-off. That's the steepest of drop-offs. That would have been my pick also. So you guys are going 2 for 2. But I also hate him. It's not indifference. I hate him. So it's okay. I can like emotionally detach from that a little bit. So I'm treating this draft like I have 4 picks because that's what I have. And so I'm trying to think about who I'd be like most disappointed to like bypass. And I just think based on recent history and what I think this person has in them, I have to take Kyland.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, friend of the podcast.
Yeah.
I
It's a great
Just-
pick.
He's my
think,
number 4 pick. So
yeah, I just think that he's fireworks. I think that he has an interesting road ahead of him, but I think that he can do really well in this cast. And I think that he's going to ruffle some feathers and make out with some people. So that's great for me. I just also like him as a human being, so that works. Can feel a little better about that one.
Mm-hmm.
We listened
next-
to Kylan talk for 2 hours on this podcast, me and Zoe. And he was great. He was fantastic.
Yeah, he was a great guest.
I think he is a great pick as we've seen him in promo kissing someone. And if this show has longevity, it is going to be behind some of these newer people. He makes complete sense.
Someone replied under one of my tweets, because I tweeted the Nerys versus Kylan Horacio thing. It's like, oh, thank God she took out these 2 boring people. And I was just like, in what world is Kylan boring? Because I know he isn't the most normally outgoing guy, but he always gets into some drama. He always has a showman's going. I mean, I like Kylan. He checks every box you want in a reality TV cast member. He's not the prototypical cast member we grew up with, but I think he's a much more modern version of it.
Yeah.
I think also as far as this cast goes, you're not going to find someone that wants it more than he does. He wants to win so bad.
That's such a good point.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just scared because Zoe has the next pick too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you need to be scared. But I'm going for someone who I don't love, but I think is going to be a major factor on the season, and I have to take Devin.
Oh wow.
Brilliant pick.
Yeah.
I don't like him, but I think just based on his connections, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I even not to talk about the women, but because we're speaking about Devin, I'm going to. Devin truly is the one thing that could bring Amanda, Tori, and Michelle to a place of peace because he has good relationships with all of them. I mean, Spazaz and Alas, he treated Amanda horribly, but off the record afterwards or on the record afterwards, he said, I love the girl. You can't say she's a bad competitor. She's just a different competitor. I would, as much as I want the drama, that would be something I would really think would be interesting to see that only he could pull off. Is it going to happen? No. Is he maybe going to attempt it? Probably not even still, but yeah, he'll be center stage for that drama, I believe.
Just him sitting with those 3 at a table would be enough of a scene for me.
Yeah.
When I did my initial preview back when we did our cast, cast release day, I think I ranked him 3rd as pick to win, which is crazy to say when you have Darrell and Brad and Derek and all these names. But Devin has figured out the pre-gaming strategy of he has so many friendships across all this cast. He has people who would take bullets for him. And I think he's understood that to win this game, you got to be able to run and you got to be able to do puzzles, and he kills that factor of it, Yeah.
And I think a lot of these meathead guys still see him as a layup when they shouldn't.
Yeah. It's a good pick. I can't even deny.
My turn?
Yes.
All right. I'm gonna go chaotic right now. Do I think this person should be my pick? In terms of talent and what they're gonna bring? No, but I just want to ruin everyone else's day. So I'm gonna take Nehemiah, 6th overall. Because I think Nehemiah is very clearly the second best guy on this cast. I think he's been, if you watch All Stars, he's been the most important guy on the All Stars spinoffs. He's gone to 2 finals, has been a big part of all the seasons, had his King's Palace alliance. He's willing to he always goes against the grain, stirs the pot more than you realize, could potentially have a showman, and he's a really good competitor. I think if you watch the 3 All-Star spinoffs, and so say you watch Derek and you watch Brad and you watch Nehemiah and all these spinoffs, I can't imagine a world where you think that Nehemiah is worse than them. I think
right.
he's been very awesome. He's been a very awesome competitor,
Mm-hmm.
and he carries himself well. And within his era, just big drop off.
No notes. I like Nehemiah.
Me too.
I'm just welling over because I can't believe I get to say that I get CT.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
do I think he's going to have drama or showmances? No. Do I know who one of the 3 golden boys on this cast is? Yes.
Yeah.
I must. I like, there's somebody else I thought about picking from a different era just to make sure I get them, but I think this person would surely be picked before I got there.
That was my biggest hang up. Like, it felt kind of stupid to skip it, but I was like, yeah, we're going vibes.
And Devin's probably going to bring more than CT on the basis of our draft criteria.
Mm-hmm.
No, but I think we're going to get a lot of flack in the comments for letting him fall so low in the draft.
Yeah.
In my defense,
Yeah.
I'm looking at my list of names, and he's 2 letters. So that's it's just you know what? It got lost among the names.
He if you listened to the episode where we drafted the women, we talked about the Rachel vibes, where she's just sort of like excited to be there, and that could either lead to a great season or an early exit season, but it's like, okay. I feel like CT, even though there hasn't obviously been as much time between CT being on the show as there was Rachel, CT brings the same thing for me. It's like, I know this doesn't define CT in the way it does other people. Like, we watched him go home to Jay first a few years ago, and it like didn't seem to bother him that much, you know? So he's just a funny pick because you don't know which CT you're going to get. The one that's like just pumped to be here and excited to have this like reunion with all these people, or the one that's like, you know, I'll smash his head and eat it. You're not really sure.
And I just realized this too. The Traders finale aired, and then they left.
Yeah.
So is he going to be that motivated to win? Maybe not. Like, he might just
Maybe
be
not.
on good vibes, but maybe that's what we need to see. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
He has won 3 out of his last 4 seasons, that's pretty good.
yeah.
That's all right, you know. Even with some weight on him, like, because he's obviously not in as good of a shape as he was on Double Agents or Spies, Lies, and Allies, but he's in better shape than when he won on War of the Worlds too. So
Correct.
I think, and as we've seen, like, CT loses weight when he's in that challenge house. Like, he gets in there and he only eats cold cuts, and like he'll drop 20-30 pounds if he gets to the end.
Yeah.
And have it so easy.
Okay, my turn.
Yeah, 2 picks for you.
Okay, so I'm actually gonna stay out of era 1. I don't think I'm gonna be disappointed with any of those guys who are left, right? I mean,
Yeah.
era 1 I think is the most like evenly stacked when it comes to guys. So I think I'm gonna add to my era 4 team and take Horacio.
Mm-hmm.
He was at the top of my list. He was actually who I was deciding between Tony and Horacio. I think he's a great competitor. I think he's a nice guy. I'm like happy to have him on my team. The other person currently on my era 4 roster is his partner Nerys. I think that's gonna like bode well for them. I'm pretty pumped that I got Horacio for my team actually.
I'm glad we got to stay together.
Yeah. Team Pink goes to Allie. My pen just died. Hold, please.
I think that's a great pick too, because on such a big cast, there's so many big personalities. I'm not so sure that he will be involved in drama aside from Olivia, but that's okay because I think he will fly under the radar and perform really well. And because he is with Nerys and he is someone the show is likely trying to propel, he's going to get airtime. That's a great pick.
His anti-drama status just creates drama of he doesn't play the game, and because of that it just he gets a target on him.
Yeah. People are so perturbed by his that was the thing I was going to say about Kylan. That's my favorite thing about Kylan is he's in drama but he's not bothered by it. He stays so even keeled and cool, calm, collected, and it if you're the person who's like not yelling when things like that are happening, you automatically look like the most sane, the most stable, and it pisses people off that want you to yell back. So I like to think Horacio has the same thing. I think Kylan's the king of it, but yeah, I think in a house full of like big personalities who aren't used to fight. I mean, I'm like looking at the cast list, and I think it might actually benefit you to not be to be okay not being the main character for a little while. I think it's actually a good thing. Okay, so I pick again, right? Yeah, I'm still staying out of era 1. I'm gonna be fine with whoever I get there. I think I kind of feel the same about era 2 right now, which I know is surprising, but I think all 3 of the guys left bring different things to the table that I'd be okay with. So I'm gonna take Leroy. Yeah. I think that's the like biggest variation, I think, on that team. Like Leroy, Corey, Devin, Jordan, and Tony. Like era 3 is just gonna be kind of a strange one. And I think it's not that there's a big drop off. There's just like a lack of like cohesiveness to me in that era. Jordan and Leroy both feel like to me they should be in era 2. Just because we've been watching them forever. But I'm excited about Leroy. I think he got so close to winning on All Stars. He's who I thought was going to win All Stars. He gave an advantage to Laurel on his way out, even though he's known Cara for a long time. Yeah, I think he's going to show up. So
I agree. I want this for him. Like he is somebody that actually on this show, I'm like, I need you to win this. The other being Nani, like as we know, great pick. Raises the question for me. There's only one person left on era 3, but Allan doesn't have one, so I guess that person's off the table.
Yes.
Okay.
That locks me into that person.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay.
I have no idea how these things work, so I had no idea that I just did that. I'm so sorry.
That was smart of you. Yeah, that was smart of you. I think I'm going to go out of left field here and make my pick from era 4 with someone I don't like, but I met and was actually pretty nice. So I'm gonna choose Josh because I did meet him when I met Allie, and he was very nice. And I think that he brings drama. And I think just like we talked about Amanda bringing so much drama, Josh is friends with her and will likely try to help her out. But he's also friends with Tori, but he's also got beef with Polly, but is friends with Polly, and all these things that work together that I think that if I've got Jordan and CT, I can take Josh.
That's a great pick. And I think when I did my player preview for Josh is that he goes much longer into seasons than you ever expect. Like whatever you expect for Josh, he always just breaks that expectation. Does he go to the final? No, but he goes much farther than you expect.
I had him ranked second to last, just to note of who I wanted to pick. But when I had them broken down in eras, when I had it broken down in eras, though, I'm like, wait a second.
Yep. He was very low on my list, but then I just realized that era 1 is literally all stacked together, and it doesn't matter who I get from there.
Yes.
I had Josh at 8.
Wow.
The person at the bottom of my list has already been taken. So yeah, I think I did this wrong. I don't really know. I did meet Josh at the same Challenge Mania event, and I have been outspoken against Josh. I don't think he makes a lot of sense on the challenge. I think he's like getting better at it, but it's sort of like I don't think it's fair to show up and like get to kind of suck and then get better. Like I would also get better at it if you gave me 4 seasons to suck and then like I was good. But all that being said, after meeting him, I totally get the charm. Like he's so nice. He's so like inclusive like just has a conversation with everybody, brings everybody into the conversation. Such a sweet guy. I was shocked at how much I liked him.
Same. And I probably shouldn't say this while speaking code. I drink a lot of lemonade. Okay. And while speaking to him, I was like, I really don't like you on the show, but I'm sure you're a great person. And he's like, that's so fair. Like, who's your favorites? And I was like, Ashley Mitchell. And he's like, and that's fair. She's really great at TV. Like, she is a sweet person at her core. And I was like, you know what? That might have been some appeasing me because I'm this tipsy fan, sure. But also, like, he didn't have to say that. He could just been like, okay, cool. Or if you don't like me, then don't speak to me. And yeah, it did change my opinion on him.
Yeah. He was also very complimentary to Tori, who was there. Tori, Gwen. And so sweet to her son, being like saying like, your mom like paved the way for all of us. She's an icon. I hope you know how cool she is. Like, he was he's like a fan of the show. So it's like, you can talk to him as a fan.
Yeah.
I have such a soft spot for Josh because I feel like he is one of the few men on this show who like so comfortably celebrates the women on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like anytime I've seen him partnered with someone, I think he's an excellent partner. And I really don't think physically he's that bad. I think that he can be a bonehead and do some things and that look very unathletic, but I think he has a lot of skills. I just think he's a great partner.
I think he's top 5 in terms of fitness. I think he's top 5 on this cast. The guy puts in so much work in the gym. Like, he like comes into every season so much. Like Josh has the cardio to run for days. He can carry hundreds of pounds. He just isn't that athletic. That's what it comes down to. But in terms of like, he's maxed out what he can in terms of like putting the work in the gym, which I respect that a ton.
Yeah.
And he's blocked and unblocked me on Twitter 5 times. I've been unblocked for since Challenge USA 2. So we've been good. We've been good so far. I don't ask him to unblock me. I have I'll have a tweet that's like nice about him and he'll unblock me. He's like, what are these notifications coming from? What are people tagging me in?
Yeah.
And all right, my next pick. I am going to take. I'm gonna take Polly.
The lull amongst all 4 of us is just like, okay.
I think it's gonna be a tough season for Polly. I think that there's still a lot of like negative feelings around him from like his past seasons. I think he's kind of like an outsider looking into the challenge world a bit these days, because of like the ban from that was on him. I think people, I mean, he was running things there for a bit, but I don't love his chances. But he's gonna have a lot of confessionals, and just being with Cara, he's gonna be in the spotlight, and he is. When he was on the show, he was an elite competitor. And he was really nice to me when I met him in San Diego. He was like, "Oh, how's working out been? How's your diet going?" I was like, "All right, thank you for being so nice."
My fear with him is because I would put him high drama wise. USA 2, he was just like, Tori, like, love you, like, blah blah blah. Which I understand, it was his comeback season. He didn't want to like look bad or get a bad edit, but like. I hate when people are so cognizant of that. And it's not just him, it's so many people. And I also understand why people do want to self-produce because fans are rabid and awful. I do think he is the laughing stock for a lot of people here. And typically being in a relationship helps you. Being in a relationship with Cara coming into the season, I don't think helps this case because a lot of people don't like her. Or if they do like her, it is completely devoid of him.
I just I don't have a lot of nice things to say. I wasn't here for like the USA apology tour. It came across very disingenuous to me. Like, I don't think he's changed. I think he's just learned how to perform better in front of a camera. But as someone that wanted to take Jordan as my first pick and Bananas as my second, like a bunch of these guys are walking dumpster fires of human beings. So like,
Yeah.
okay, it's like, yeah. I think he has potential to do well, but I think he has a much bigger target on his back than he ever did earlier on.
Yeah.
I'm mad, I'm mad that look at Josh now that I'm thinking about it.
Sorry. That takes us to Zoe and her 2 picks.
Okay, so assuming that I'm just going to get whatever's left over, which I actually am fine with, I'm going to take Theo, who I also don't like. But I think he will do physically very well on this season. And I think he is a catalyst for drama, and we know there's going to be hookups and there's going to be stuff. There's some prior relationships where there's some bad blood. I just want to double down. I really don't like him on a personal level. I want everyone to really understand that.
Yeah.
Very good.
But I think it's a good pick too, because the same reason you picked Michelle or Devin or whoever it was, like we see that he came out of the season in a relationship. So like we're gonna take those crumbs, I'm sure, as a production team and show that to the viewer. So I think that's a good pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think people are going to be really invested in his return.
Yeah. I mean,
Like,
he
that's
had
a no-brainer.
a super impressive performance on War of the Worlds. And I think he's really dying to show what he's got again. So, yeah.
Theo winning over Turbo is one of those things I wish I could change, just in history of like this show. And people forget how much drama he really was in like those first couple seasons where he just had like he had beefs with like Amanda and Ashley and just like a whole bunch of different people. He was a Boron World Championships, but apparently a lot was edited out.
Yeah.
This is where it gets tricky for me because I really don't care who I get from either one of these. So I'm trying to figure out who I would want the least. And so I think I'm going to choose someone from Era 1 just because I really don't see a difference between any of those guys left in Era 2.
Yeah.
And there's 2 people I'm kind of stuck between here. Like, I don't see any of these guys in drama. I could see one just making a pretty deep run based on size. But I think I'm going to go with Darrell just because I like him the most.
It makes sense.
I had Darrell very, very, very high on mine until I realized like what I was looking at with Era 1. So that's a great choice.
Yeah. And
like
I think,
full cast, he like was at the very top for me.
Yeah. I think that makes sense. And I think it does make sense to pull someone from Era 1 because in your spot, because you want to get points somewhere, and I think he'll get them. And I think with them bringing Aviv back, a big part of her story is Darrell. And not that carries over 20 episodes, but I'm sure there will be tidbits where it's discussed. So I think that's really intelligent.
He's so well liked, and it honestly felt like a little bit of sage for my soul after picking Theo. Like just real good cleanse because he's such a good guy. And like when I rank like the men on this show who've ever appeared ever in terms of how much I like them, like Darrell's always in the top 3. Like Darrell's always gonna be one of my favorite guys for so many reasons.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm happy with that.
It is just a pick that makes you, it makes you happy. You're not going to be mad to have Darrell on your team in any way.
Yeah.
I will go and I'm going to take the most famous person in this draft who people could realistically bang. And that's Mark Long. I think he's easily the most famous person that like it's definitely possible if you've ever wanted it. Like
I think he's already hooked up with at least maybe one person in each era. Looking at them, I'm pretty sure that is true.
Oh Oh yeah, I believe so as well.
And it makes sense because I do think anybody on this cast who has been on All Stars feels like they owe him something. And in a lot of senses, they do because he really spearheaded that during, the pandemic. Plus, he's old. Like, he's the oldest person on this cast. He's going to be seen as the least threatening person on his team. I don't know if that's true or not, but yeah, that's really a good pick.
I mean, Mark is still really good as a competitor. Like, even on All Stars, like, he was still racking up daily challenge wins. Like, he's not the biggest final threat, but he racks up a bunch of wins in random places, and he's gonna get his very generic, like, let's go type confessionals.
Maybe he'll be now the grandfather instead of the godfather. I love Mark. He was so sweet when we were out in San Diego. I think that, yeah, I would love to see him mac on some of these girls on this cast. I just want to see if it works.
Yeah, I was gonna say in San Diego, I saw him flirt with lots of people as well.
Good for him though. Good for him though. Like, we're not.
Yeah, I'm not shaming him. I mean, there were people at San Diego that were so rude to me and Zoe. Whew, God, I still have like genuine trauma when I think about this person. Is it my turn?
Yeah, it is.
You just got so flustered thinking about that.
Because it's been years and I still think about it. So I don't have anyone from Era 2, and I'm fearful of what will happen. I'm going to choose Derek.
Yeah.
Just because I think he had a good story on All Stars 4. I think that we can't forget that John A is there with him, and they have just such a nice bond. And I think it's interesting they're from the same season, but in different eras. I also think I don't necessarily want Brandon nor Ryan. Both are fine people, but I don't see them going long into the game. Could be wrong, but I think Derek's my choice for Era 2.
I've talked about this before. I interviewed Derek many years ago, and he knew all the names of all the daily challenges he's competed in. Like, I don't even know the names of the wacky daily challenges. Like, they have absurd names, and he's got a real passion for this show. He has been wanting to be on for forever, and I appreciate that. Someone who's a true fan and gives their 110%. Love it.
Yeah. I'm really interested what's going to happen now because Allie has 2 picks. She cannot pick Corey by default because that has to be Allan's last pick.
Well, Corey's at the bottom of my who's left list, so I'm not.
Okay.
You're not gonna see any tears over that. I am gonna go ahead and take Brandon.
Okay.
From Era 2. I feel like he's a pretty solid pick. He's actually in the middle of my who's left list, so I don't feel like I'm scraping the bottom of any barrels with Brandon. He's a nice guy. He gets along with people. He had some stuff with Cara on All Stars. The All Stars people just have this great asterisk of they're not re-entering this after however many years gone. They have a little bit of pre-built storylines in. I think he didn't do as well on All Stars as he wanted to, so he's got a little bit of fire there. So I feel good about Brandon. That is for Era 2. I am gonna take Brad. For Era 1 for my second pick. Brad was high up on my list. Again, I had the Era realization here, the opposite of what I should have had in the female version of this, but Brad is always good for something. You don't know what it's going to be. It might be the most unhinged rant you've ever heard in your life. It might be the most wholesome moment you've ever watched him go through. But I know that Brad really appreciates getting the call for this show and doesn't take the opportunity for granted. And I think that really drives the way he shows up for these things. So yeah, I just drafted the 2 awesomest beards in the whole
Yeah.
cast. So I feel really good about that too. Can that be a point? Can
Yeah,
I get
yeah,
something
no,
for that? Right?
Beard point too, and if you grow it throughout the season too, it's
If
I
there's
think
ever any like beads or glitter in it, give me some points. I'll take it.
I think too that's really a great pick to snag so late, because the 3 of us were all in on him, All Stars 3, because he was just having a great season. All Stars 4, not so much. But I think it might help that his last showing was kind of poor, because he's going to kind of fade away from the beginning, and those bigger names can pick each other off, and then he could likely rise to the occasion. So I think that's pretty good.
Luke,
I feel good.
Are you saying All Stars 4 was kind of poor, or are you talking about his real last showing technically?
Oh, the mercenary one?
I mean, they both were, but
Because that one happened after, like, because technically that was filmed after, and like we got to be like transparent, like that's been the red flag of like Brad looks so dog shit in that mercenary elimination. Like,
but I also have to remember that Brad was called in because Bananas flaked, so it's not like he'd been training. So I feel like when he got the call for 40, it had to have been like, let's get after
like
this.
5 times in a cardio elimination though. Like he got lapped like it was like 6 to 10, 5 to 10. It was not like.
Well, even still, I think my point still stands that people were going to be like, "Oh, you did really poorly against Kyland," and he won't be a person they want to get out to end. I don't know.
I love him though. I love the guy. Like he's actually been always very kind.
I didn't think about that at all. Sometimes underthinking really works in my favor. What does Michael Scott say? Some of the smartest people don't think at all. So I'm okay with it. I don't know if Brad thinks about Brad's performance as much as people who talk about the show, like in a way that's like, oh, I did well here, I did bad here, this affects this affects this. He's just like, vibes. I'm showing up, I'm trying to win, I've got this beard, I might date a 21-year-old from Georgia. I don't know.
Allie, I'll say this because I love Brad. He's one of the few cast members who's DM'd me personally and been like, I read your blog. I'm trying to improve this part of my game. I'm trying to improve this part of my game based on what you said. I'm trying to do better at this. And so like, I love the guy for that reason. He's like one of the only few cast members. Like he's like, I tried to like apply this in this part of my game, and I'm like, wow.
He is a forever student of the challenge. He will always have a good shot in my mind of doing well because he's always open to improving his game. And I say this as someone who's like friends with his ex-wife. Like I know a lot of things about Brad that other people might not, and I still think really highly of the guy.
Yeah. To transition, I'm gonna pick someone that I don't think super highly of.
Oh wait, Luke, I don't know if you know this, or do you know it? You're locked into a pick.
No.
Yeah, I believe you're locked into a pick because Zoe needs to take an error 2. I need to take an error 3.
Oh, that's okay. Then my pick is who I was going to be locked into with anyways. Cool. Yeah. So I'm locked in with Derek Kaczynski, who I think is great at this show. I won't comment on him as a human because I don't know him as a human. My only frustration is just like I'm over vendettas, and he's not had the best showings the past couple of years. But I also think that being on All Stars recently, like Allie said, is going to work to a lot of these people's favor. He is very well insulated with people who like him, or might just want to be invited to a Challenge Mania event and know that he'll likely be there and will be around him. And, so I think Derek is not a bad pick to be my last pick. I did much better with the men than I did the women.
Derek's great. He's going to get his very loud confessionals. They got to turn down the volume on them. Great guy, though. All Stars has hurt his legacy, though. I think if he had left out.
We have lost our friend Allan.
Yeah, okay. I'm glad that was everybody, not just me. I think what Allan was saying was if he'd left after Dirty 30, right? Or his mercenary appearance on Vendettas, he would have just been like in the upper echelon of challenge competitors forever, and people would have just thought he was one of the GOATs, and has definitely fallen from that status since then. And as a fan of Derek, like that's truly how I felt about him too. And I think that makes sense. But I think Derek's a really solid last round pick because I think he's got some of the most iconic moments in challenge history competitively.
Yeah, and I have to remind myself, whenever Survivor Season 40 came out, I can't remember who it was. I want to say it's Parvati, but I can't imagine her saying this, so I won't say it with certainty. Someone who did not win was asked, well, what about your legacy? And they're like, the legacy does not matter to me. It's about the money I get for showing up and the experience. The legacy matters to the fans. Like, this isn't real life. This is a game show. Yeah.
And after some technical difficulties, I'm back here after being frozen for a little bit. It's my pick now, and I am locked into Corey. I honest to God, I probably would have took Corey earlier, but once I got completely locked into him, I was just like, well, I'm completely okay with him being my last pick. Mr. Teen Mom, he seems very angry online these days, just because like he's frustrated over some certain stuff, and he kind of seems to have beef with Challenge Mania, even it seems like these days. I love Corey, very nice and supportive guy. One of those people who, like, I made fun of him for years, and still gave me props. So, go Corey.
Yeah, I mean, he's upset because wasn't able to film Dill No Do Island, which I understand. It was a big show on Peacock, and they also didn't let him film Trader Season 1. I feel bad, but also like put that in your contract then, like read your contract. And also he did get some exposure by being able to be on the Challenge USA, and you're locked into MTV's two biggest shows at the moment, maybe barring Jersey Shore Family Reunion, but like you're getting good opportunities still. So I would be wary of biting the hand that feeds you. But in the same sense, MTV, just let your people do their shows. It can only bring people into Paramount to watch old seasons if they find them interesting, but not a bad last pick for sure.
I agree with everything you just said, Luke.
Corey's one of those ones that feels like he's been there longer than he has. He like felt like such a big central part of the show for a while that I think he just gets a good edit no matter what. So
yeah,
I don't think he's a bad one to be stuck with.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think it makes perfect sense that I'm getting this person last in the draft because I don't think it could have gone any other way.
Yeah. Zoe gets Ryan.
And I like Ryan, and I think that like he gets along with people, but also has friction. I think that like I don't think he's ever gonna wow us physically, but I think anytime that he does well, that it's kind of like he's doing better than the expectations of him by fans. So especially looking at who was available after Bananas was gone out of that group, I was like, yeah, this is fine. I'm totally fine with that, having Ryan on my team, even if it's just for a short time.
Yeah. And it seems like he has friction with Laurel, so maybe we'll see some of that.
And I honestly would love to see someone like him go toe-to-toe with Laurel, because I just don't think people do that with her often enough. I think people are so scared of her and like the impact she can have on their game that they just tiptoe around her crazy. And I think that Ryan is like, you want to be crazy, I'll show you crazy. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like Ryan. I think that's well known at this point. I might have taken Bananas and Nehemiah like back to back just so there was just no world where it was possible for me to get him. But he always does better than I think people expect, like you're saying, Zoe. And I think of all the people cast, he took a lot of shit for like being on here. However, he was on a lot of seasons in that era of like Fresh Meat, The Island, The Duel 2, Fresh Meat 2. Like Ryan is someone who was a part of that era, whereas you can't say that about everyone else who were on like these casts. Like, and I like Derek more, but Derek was not like a big part of the era compared to like Ryan.
Yeah.
His first season was cutthroat. Like it just, that's why the cutoffs are weird. They'd be weird any way you split them. But yeah, I've been watching, shout out to this person. I don't know if any of you have been watching them, but the Challenge Historian guy on YouTube has been
Yeah.
recapping like all the seasons. I've been locked in, and like days that he misses or like has to upload late, I understand. But I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I gonna fall asleep tonight? They're really cool. So shout out him. Watch them if you haven't. I don't know. But you're right. I was reminded that Ryan was so prominent in those seasons and made some moves that did impact the end result of games in some instances. So I'm hopeful that he'll be in some drama as well. And I also feel like someone who knows they're not going to physically win the entire thing, let's just be realistic, has nothing to lose. They are more apt to get into that drama, to make some bizarre friendships, to compensate in confessionals. So I think it's not awful.
That's our male draft. Running back the teams. Allie had Tony, Horacio, Leroy, Brandon, and Brad. Very much she's picking her guys.
I love it.
Zoe took Kylan, Devin, Theo, Darrell, and Ryan. She's playing strategically and for her heart. Luke took Jordan, CT, Josh, Derek, and Derek. I think he kicked her ass when it comes to, I think Luke kind of kicked her ass when I'm looking at that list. I'm not gonna lie.
I think I did well on this one.
And then I took Bananas, Nehemiah, Polly, Mark, and Corey.
That's pretty good too.
You know what's crazy? I don't like my draft until my last pick, which I got locked into. So the only pick that I didn't make for myself is the only one I like.
Yeah. I'm excited to see how this plays out as the season progresses.
I was thinking about like when we talked about the female cast members that were a miss on this. I think there's no bigger miss than Wes. I think that's what took this Era 2 team down so many notches. I think if Wes is on that team and on this season, that it encapsulates the challenge for 40 seasons much better.
Yeah. I also think that, like, for obvious reasons, he had his leg amputated and was recovering. Nelson made so much sense in Era 3. As I think throwing a bone to Hunter, like talking about the women, bring Ashley back and then put Hunter on the same team. I think it would have been really cool to see. Like, I can't even get past how that wasn't a thing. For Era 4, I'm trying to think of other men. I know that I've like put thought into this, but they're kind of lackluster to begin with. People online have been saying turbo, turbo, turbo. No, thank you. He was also filming Survivor with Berna. I hate that both of them couldn't film this. But I see what they did with Era 4 by bringing in two British people, because this was the invasion of the Brits, a man and a female, or a man and a woman.
Kyle would have made sense.
That's okay. I'm so glad you said that. Kyle instead of Theo would have made the most sense. Kyle was on every season from 31 to 37 and was almost on 38 with Big T. If there's an era-defining man, like there's a woman being Cam, it is Kyle. And I know there was speculation and things alleged about Kyle with Cara Maria, which I know nothing about, so I can't speak on them. Those things pushed out of mind. He is the biggest loss, I think, from even this entire cast, dare I say, because of the relationships he has with the Bananas, the people from Era 3, that he could have been a really weird, like, catalyst for a lot of drama. I also would have liked to have seen Yes.
Yes would have been cool, but he would have been in Era 1, right?
Yeah. And I think like all those Era 1 guys, I think they kind of like, they're repetitive in their skill set, but those are the 5 most important guys, I'd say.
Yeah.
Like,
I had to Google it to be sure. So the way that it's 1 through 9, 10 through 19, 20 through 29, 30 to 39, right?
No, because Tori
it's 1 through 10, 11 through 20. So that's where it's like a weird shift.
So like MJ.
Okay, because
yeah, I think MJ was on 10, so he doesn't get to be in Era 2, because he would have probably been a decent person in that spot. I mean, obviously, like Era 2, it's the big like red flag of like erasing challenge history that they have to erase because they're
right.
Yeah, that like that's gone, and then West declining, and I mean, I don't want to see Tyler again after his like last two All-Star showings either. So
Yeah.
Wait, sorry, I missed. I didn't get where you explained it. Where does 10 fall? 1 or 2?
1.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because Landon made his debut on Inferno 2, which I had to Google. But I was thinking it was 1 to 9, et cetera, et cetera.
oh, no, wait, MJ would qualify. MJ should be here.
MJ would be on 2, and he should have been on 2. He could have easily taken the place of
Ryan.
3 or 4 of those people. And I think his win on All Stars alone solidifies that.
Yeah.
I do think whether there's truth or not to the rumors purported about Johnny and him, that probably does play a factor. If I'm Johnny, I don't want to do a season with him again because of the speculation, and I'm sure she wants to continue her happy marriage. True or not, I'm sure that brings people speculating things online. So it might have been a thing where her stipulation was, yeah, I'll do it if he's not there. And production said, okay, well, we know who we'd rather have.
Kahada.
Oh yeah.
Is maybe like the one name. But even then, it's like Kahada is just such a low-key personality that it's like, did we miss a time? No, but does he represent the era, the show a little bit more? Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely more than Brandon and Derek for sure. Like, no offense to them.
Yeah.
I actually do think they got era 3 very perfect. Especially considering what happened with Nelson. Like, there's no one else that really.
Yeah, with the men. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe Frank. But even then, Frank was only on for like basically 2 seasons and then was out because all these guys did a bunch of seasons.
Would Zach be considered that third era?
Yeah, he would be.
I mean, I know we don't.
But like, is Zach more important to the show than Leroy, Tony, Devin, Jordan, Corey? I don't think so, actually.
Yeah, I think it's just. I think you could make an argument. I think that like there's probably equal-ish people, but I think it's just a personal preference at that point, and I know he's not my personal preference, so.
Because Zach's always been a top competitor, but I would say all 5 of those guys have been the face of a challenge season before.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just gonna say the thing that would make that more fun is him having to be on the same team as Amanda again.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, we had fun here today. We got 4 teams that we're going to track all season. Someone will win a prize online. Someone will win a prize between us. I haven't decided what it is. Someone will win a prize between us. Hopefully I win. I get to give a prize to myself. And I mean, I would really know how to buy a gift for myself for sure, definitely. Make sure to keep track with us all season while we do our recaps. We're going to be recapping every episode, hopefully. You know what? That's a steep promise. We might miss a week or 2. We're humans. Who knows?
We're doing our best.
Yeah, we're gonna try our best, and we're gonna have Allie back on at some point during the season.
That's exciting. So does this count? Does this count as my 3rd visit since this is 2 podcasts?
Yeah, it's like when you have like your phone app and you're doing your check-ins and you come back the same day. Boom.
Yep. Amazing. Can't wait to come back. You guys are always so much fun and you're so nice to me, and I like the way you do things here and how you respect each other and give commentary on the show without being wildly disrespectful and inappropriate. So I'm very big fans of this podcast. Thanks for having me.
Oh,
thanks.
Thanks for joining us.
We're big fans of the Allie Evans business. Subscribe to us on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Comment your teams. Thank you all for listening to us. If you're still listening, goodbye.
Bye.